everyone, my name is Haleigh Ryan Hurst, and welcome back to episode 6 of Let's Hear Miss Virginia Volunteer. We are so close to the national pageant, so I thought, you know what, why not have Vickie Runk, the Miss Virginia Volunteer Executive Director, on our show today to talk about the program, to talk about our journey together, because if you know me, you know how much I love Vickie, how much I love her family, and I'm so excited to have her on the show today. So welcome to Let's Hear Miss Virginia Volunteer.
Well, I am glad to be sitting at the table with you today and just going through our journey together, which has been so exciting. And
can you believe it's been 10 months?
I can't. It's gone by so fast, but it's also been very intentional.
Yes.
You know, when you were crowned and you were added to our title holder family, you were very, very determined that you would have a plan, and you've done just that. And I've enjoyed just kind of tagging along behind you and supporting you every which way that I can. And we are so excited to be packing and getting all of our things together. You're here with us in Virginia for 2 weeks almost before nationals. So when this airs, we've been together a little bit here, planning for our trip, getting everything settled in, and we're so excited to follow you and go on down the road, and let's do this.
Yeah, let's do this. Jackson, Tennessee is not ready for all of us. We're road tripping down together.
We are.
So that's going to be a great 9 hours.
I did offer to fly you straight in, and you said no. You wanted to do
we want a road trip.
So,
Absolutely. I love flying, but after flying on 54 flights this year, I think it's best if we drive. I need a flight break.
That's right. And we're going to take all your beautiful things with us. And I will say that every year is different. Each title holder is different. And I hope that at the end of this journey that you're able to say, I did it my way, and that I can't think of a thing that I would do differently, and that I accomplished all of my goals. Speaking about the 54 flights, let's tell everybody what you're ending up here with your total mileage and your total hours of volunteerism.
So I have volunteered over 600 hours.
Wow.
Clocking before nationals, which is absolutely insane. I have traveled over 62,000 miles, been on 54 flights, and I've been to over 14 states across the nation. And of those 14 states, I connected with 10 different state title holders to help further the Miss Volunteer America organization, but also their own personal serve initiatives.
Right.
And so it's been so rewarding getting to connect with those girls in their hometowns and in their home states and seeing why they love being there, why they love serving their community. If you know me, you know I'm not originally from Virginia, but being Miss Virginia Volunteer has truly opened my heart and has allowed me to do so much work that I never thought that I would get to do. I look back at where I was a year ago today, and if you would have told me that I would be based out of Virginia, I would not have believed you at all. I've been like, what, Virginia? But you know what? We plan our whole lives out, and God just laughs at us.
That's right. He doesn't need our help.
No, he doesn't. And this whirlwind has taken me for a loop. I remember at this time last year, I was getting ready. I just flew back from London after being there for 6 weeks, and I was getting ready to go watch the national competition of Miss Volunteer America because I thought that I might had wanted to compete. And I ran into you and your amazing family and told you, I might be going to Liberty because I was having a mental crisis on what I was going to do with my life. And you were like, well, just come try our pageant. And,
that's right.
After a lot of research and making sure everything was eligible and making sure everything was airtight, we did it. And it's been the best step into the unknown I think I've ever taken.
Well, I'm so glad to hear that. That does this executive director good because I love to know that a young lady, number one, wants to be with us, that they've kind of sought out our program and figured out a way to be eligible, to be able to compete, and then go through the eligibility program. We check off everything on our list, make sure we've got everything just right, and then head towards the finish line there. And I didn't know how you do in such a small town either because we don't have a lot of things that Texas has. But we always try to find a way to make it fit for you.
Oh, yeah. And I will say, I'm from a very small town in Texas.
Yeah.
Like, for those of you who don't know, I grew up on a farm with horses and cows. I'm not a farm girl, okay?
Right.
I'm not a horse girl. But, growing up in a small town, when I came to Lynchburg for the first time, I got off the plane. I'm like, wow, okay, this feels like home. This feels like I'm back in Decatur, Texas.
Yeah.
And Everyone here is so kind. The community really rallies around the Miss Virginia Volunteer Organization, which is really special to me.
And we've worked really hard on that from the very beginning to make sure that the community embraces our title holders. And I'm proud to say that they do. But it's been fun to watch you. We talked last night about the difference from where you were a year ago to now. And truly, you have a heart for this organization, unlike anything I've ever seen before. You have a heart for service, and you have a heart for community, and you also have a heart for the initiative that you have with Next Gen and all that you're doing within the school system, which our DARE program fit right in with that. The Salvation Army, a lot of their initiatives have fit right into what you're doing. St. Jude's fits right into that. So it's been really rewarding for me and our family to watch you just immerse yourself in every one of these organizations and be very intentional that you're going to be there for those organizations. And I just want to say publicly how proud I am of you.
Oh my gosh, don't make me cry
so
on here.
Proud. And the organization is better today than we were before you came. And what you bring to the crown is an example for so many out there. Those that will walk behind you, and we discussed that last night too. It's hard for me to even let you go. But to know that those that'll be walking behind you will have such big shoes to fill. But you're also writing a journal for them. On the how-tos, because there's so many misconceptions.
So many misconceptions.
I laugh at some of them because, some of the girls will say, well, do you have to wear everything Vickie tells you to wear? And I just get so tickled at that because that's the furthest thing from the truth.
Oh, yeah.
We want our girls to look well put together and equipped. And number one, you're a business gal. So when you go out to these, functions that we have you go to or that you set up your own schedule this year, you're literally a businesswoman for Miss Virginia Volunteer entering into a room. Number one, you want to command the presence of the room. So we're training you to do that with your attire and what you have on. And number two, you're representing someone. You're representing this organization. And so you want to always make sure you look the best that you can. But that doesn't mean you don't have your own ideas and your own sense of fashion. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I remember after I won, we all went back to the Miss Virginia Volunteer Suite. And we're sitting down. It's us, it's my parents, it's Keith Pittman with Lasting Impressions, one of our amazing sponsors. We had Lisa Dean on the phone in and out throughout the night, who's another one of our amazing state sponsors and national sponsor, talking about wardrobe, talking about next steps. And it was such an overwhelming time, but I was in the moment, it's like, okay, it's go time. We won state, now let's set our sights on nationals. And so it has been a real joy getting to sit down and talk through all the wardrobe with you and Caitlin. Caitlin has become one of my dearest friends. I think she is so precious. And it was fun just to have this experience together because I think my third time I was with your family for a full week was when we went down to Columbus.
Yes.
And we went down to Columbus, Georgia to visit Keith Pittman, and we designed the most fabulous wardrobe I've ever seen. And I walked in and I was a little nervous. Because, I've been with Sherry Hill for 7 years. I've seen all of her designs. I've worn all of her designs. So I walked in and I got a little overwhelmed because I'm like, I've seen everything. I've worn everything. I don't know what's going to sit here and wow me. And then we sat down with Sherry and we sat down with Keith and we figured it out. And y'all ain't ready for this dress.
So excited.
I'm so excited. But they have been such an amazing supporter of the Miss Virginia Volunteer system because Keith also sponsors our opening number dresses for every contestant. There's our Butterfly Princesses also have sponsored dresses from Lasting Impressions as well. And so that's really cool to see how immersed he is with our pageant.
Yeah.
But also how much he does give to the national pageant as well as a national partner. And so kind of shifting gears off of all of the onstage where I worked with Vickie. I have some amazing contacts back home in Oklahoma. And so I worked with someone in Oklahoma to do a custom swimsuit and then found someone to do a custom dance costume. And we worked together on sketches and finding, gym designs, what we wanted it to wear, how we wanted to coordinate, and everything has a purpose. So if you see it, just know everything has a purpose and it all flows. It looks beautiful on the rack right now.
And at the end of all of it, I have the expertise of being with Miss Volunteer America since its very first day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I know what's going to look good on stage. I know what's been used in the past. So my guidance can be passed along to the
Yes.
state title holder of, I think this one may look different. I think you might want to try this one on. But at the end of the day, I want our title holders to be very confident,
And comfortable.
secure in their own self, that whatever they're choosing together for that 1 week, that it's going to make you be able to do better down there
Yeah.
because you're going to be equipped to do that.
I'm a firm believer in look good, feel good, do good. And that is everything that you guys have poured into me this year and everything I think to come up with, I feel my most confident in, because with the Miss Volunteer system, it is very much timeless elegance is kind of how I would describe its style. It's a business attire, timeless elegance. It's not super old school or super, trendy. It's right in the middle.
It is.
And it's perfect because it's also teaching you how to dress for when you actually have to go into the corporate world or when you are dealing with different jobs. And right now I'm on a media tour. So how I should be wearing, how I should present myself on a media tour, all of those skills that I've learned throughout this year has changed my perspective because, I tell you this all the time. I had no idea what I was getting into when I won. I've competed in nothing like the Miss Volunteer America organization before. And I walked in and I really needed that guidance. And you and Caitlin stepped in immediately and you're like, whoa. Let's sit down and walk through everything and make sure that you are the most prepared you can be when you go into appearances and you look the best you can be. And, we've been in front of Governor Youngkin of Virginia all the way to, going down to Columbus and being in front with the Salvation Army.
You've been with Jimmy Tebow. You've been with the Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. You've been with several congressmen here in our area. You've had a really great year.
A really great year.
And it's hard to top something like this. But I think, you're very ready for this new phase that you're getting ready to go through competition, another national competition. You've done 2 other national competitions in the past, 2 or 3.
I've won 2 national competitions. I think I've competed in a total of 5 or 6 nationals, but all of them are very different from each other. This is the first time I'm doing talent on stage. I'm a little nervous about that part, but I'm just, letting go, letting God.
Even that, we can talk about that for a few minutes. You had a vision in your mind.
Yes.
You knew exactly what you wanted that talent performance to look like.
And I think you looked at me like I was crazy the first time.
I knew I had never done anything like that before. And so we had to pull all the forces of the people that we knew locally. And we've got, a big name singer on your track that we won't release right now, but you'll know about it in a few weeks. And there we sat in a studio and we compiled all of that. We went to Bill Wolf initially, which is another great coach that we've used. He helped, solidify that track, and we tweaked it along the way. But what was so cool is that you had the idea from the very beginning. You knew exactly how you wanted that audience to feel at the end of your performance. And I'm so excited that in a couple of weeks, we'll be able to share all of that with everybody.
And I think for me, the most special part is, this is my last time competing. My dad has been such a pivotal role of my pageant experience.
Troy!
Go Troy! And he hasn't seen anything, any wardrobe, any dance, refuses to listen to the track. And so the first time that he will hear it is when I perform my talent on stage live. And I know he's going to cry because he was with me in the trenches when everything was happening. And to look at me now and look at me when I first started competing, he was my first ever escort on stage. That's been my big goal is, make myself proud, make God proud, and make my parents proud.
Absolutely. And I feel so honored that he trusted me with this last little phase of pageantry with you, because I knew that he had helped you pick out every outfit and been such a coach to you. So thank you, Troy, for letting Haleigh and I have this time together. And I know that you're going to be proud of this young lady in a couple weeks when we all convene down there to celebrate Haleigh Ryan Hurst, Miss Virginia Volunteer. It's been an honor. It's just truly been an honor of a lifetime for me and for our family. I know I told you last night we saw you for the first time. We said our family's complete now that you're back. And we like to feel that way over every title holder. There are some that give us the chance to do that, and some, their schedules or whatever doesn't allow for that. But we truly have a family of state title holders that has each year brought us something special.
Yeah.
And so this year did not disappoint. But congratulations on reaching every goal. I don't think you've missed anything.
I'm a little short on one of my goals, but I think after the national pageant, we'll be able to rein in and actually reach it, because I know whenever I won, I sat down with you and I'm like, this is my plan for the year. This is exactly how I want it to go. And not only have we been able to do that, but we've exceeded it. And by the time that this comes out, my official title holder toolkit will be out as well. And so that equips local title holders with grassroots marketing skills to go out and brand this organization, because that's how you build it from a national title. You start with the locals and then it goes to the states. And then once you have those strongholds, that's when you're going to start getting those top tier competitors at nationals. And we already have a lot of top tier girls coming. I'm so excited for nationals. I got to spend so much time with these amazing, accomplished young women in Jackson, Tennessee for the teen pageant back in March, where I got to cheer on Sheridan. And so coming back, and not only is this a competition, but it's really a celebration.
It is.
It's a celebration of talent. It is a celebration of how intelligent and how accomplished these young women are. And nationals is just an opportunity to show it and be awarded scholarships because of it.
Yeah, I mean, what a better payment than a scholarship that's going to take you further. I know for you, it's law school. But during that year, you're going to do so much of what you've already done in your state pageants.
Oh, yeah.
You're just going to take that and magnify it and go across the nation. You know, we would be remiss if we don't mention, Allison DeMarcus, which is the founder of Miss Volunteer America. And I still remember the day that she gave me a call and said, hey, let me tell you a little bit what I'm getting ready to do. And I had been with a previous system, and I didn't really feel like my talents was being utilized. I was more or less just a sponsor that poured into the young ladies' scholarship funds, and got to go to a couple of the shows and sit down. But I really was being pushed to do more. And because I had been in pageantry when I was a young lady, I knew the significance that journey took in my life to prepare me to be articulate, to look people in the eyes, to be able to identify someone that needed my help, or to be able to identify an organization that I would pour myself into and be a better person because of it. I understood what a platform was, and I posted something a few years ago, and it kind of hit me. If we all would do what pageant girls do and pick a platform in our lives. And we don't have to have a crown or a sash in order to do that. But if all Americans would to pick a platform that we were going to be passionate about, what kind of world would we live in? Yeah. That's a really powerful thought.
It really is. And I've been able to see that through you a lot with your work with Alzheimer's and your work with elderly care. Why don't you take a second to talk about your personal platform?
Well, years ago, I entered into the Miss Lynchburg pageant, and my platform was serving our local seniors. And I had a vision in my mind, much like you girls have. That's why I love to listen to all of you, because, 38 years ago, I had those same visions, and I wanted to create an environment in communities in which that our seniors didn't just sit in a rocking chair. I felt like they had so much more to offer. And I began to start a journey in the business world to where I was able to buy a local assisted living home that was really in a country part of Virginia. We had 19 beds, and fast forward now 33 years later, we now have close to 650 senior beds in our care communities that I've developed, and I'm serving those seniors. And you've been in our care communities. They're not sitting in rocking chairs.
No, they are constantly doing something. I've been with Bobby and Crystal, your activities directors, and they have me on my toes. I don't know how some of these people keep up with them. I'm like, wow, okay, let's go. Let's do this.
They have their social circles. They have all their card games. They have bus trips. And
you get your hair done, too. You have a full-service salon.
Yes.
It's like everyone's dream, basically, in one spot.
Right. So over the last 33 years, my years in pageantry, my desire to pour into young ladies like you has, that pageantry journey really did shape me and give me the ability to say, yeah, I'm young, because I was, but I have it all together, and I have a plan, and I'm very intentional with how I'm planning my life. I hear you talk about your plan and how intentional you are in the next steps. And because of pageantry, I can tell you I am a living testimony. I would not have been able to be as confident with bankers. I wouldn't be able to hold myself in a room of seniors, talking to families, selling the care communities, building the care communities, reaching out to community leaders saying, hey, come on board and help me. You collaborate with me. I'll collaborate with you. Let's build this little bubble here in 50-mile radius of Lynchburg, Virginia, to where we're caring for now over 600 seniors. And it's because of God's grace, number one, and we both share that sentiment, that we've been able to accomplish anything. But I do say that pageantry is where it started. That vision to have a platform, to have a conviction, to have the drive and the initiative and the confidence.
The confidence.
To enter a room, no matter how many men were sitting at the table, I was usually the only young woman, and they discounted me before I even opened my mouth. But when I opened my mouth, every one of them got silent, and I usually ended up commanding a room. But it was because of all the training that I'd had in interview prep, and I had a coach that was very secure in her thoughts that this young lady has something, and I'm going to push her as far as I can. Now, I never won a crown like you. I love to take y'all's crowns down and put them on my head just to see what I would look like. But I earned something so much bigger, so much greater, because at the end of the year, those crowns go on a shelf, right?
Yeah.
But the memories last forever. Yeah. And the training that I received in those 2 years of trying to get to Miss Virginia and then ultimately Miss America really was because I wanted people to listen to my platform. And that desire never left me after my pageant journey was over. I tell everybody I wanted to become Miss Virginia, but I ended up becoming Mrs. Runk because Brian grabbed me right after my last pageant and said, no, we're getting married. And that was the greatest joy because then I was able to do my God-given, fulfilled goals that he had placed in my heart and in my, in my drive during the years of pageantry. So that's pretty special. And now coming back into pageantry, it's only been about 7 years for me that I've been doing this, almost 5 for Allison and Miss Volunteer America, and about 2 years with the Miss Virginia board. So, it's been a blessing, and I love to watch you girls. It's amazing, and we'll see some of 51 best girls in America here in just a couple weeks down there.
Absolutely. I love that you were talking about your pre-pageantry experience and post-pageantry experience. I look back at 9-year-old Haleigh all the time because 9-year-old Haleigh was full of confidence. She was, but it was full of false confidence. I was always trying to be the most confident girl in the room. And pageantry, you're in a room with all the confident young girls. And it wasn't until that I stripped away all of my confidence and really took a deep look inside of me. And I'm like, who am I? What am I doing with my life? And, I had a really hard season in middle school. I like to describe myself as if Elmer Fudd from Looney Tunes and Bigfoot had a child, it would have been me because I was 5'10" in 6th grade with a severe speech impediment. And I never would have fixed my speech impediment if it wasn't for pageantry. I never would have found that true sense of confidence, that true sense of purpose if it wasn't for pageantry. And, I've had an amazing career looking back at 13 years, 9 state titles, 2 national titles. But I will say my heart has grown being Miss Virginia Volunteer. I was in such a hard season of my life, and I was constantly chasing after achievement, and I wasn't finding the fulfillment that I wanted. I was sorority president, outstanding senior of my mass communications college. I was chair of my mass communications college. I was constantly volunteering and trying to be everything for everyone else that I stopped showing up for myself. And so when I decided to compete, I'm like, you know what, Haleigh, you're going to do this for yourself. And, it doesn't matter that I've been able to travel all across the nation this year and impact so many lives because it has truly impacted me in a way and has given me a new sense of purpose that I will now use to drive me in the future. It has changed my perspective so much. And I have loved our national partners, St. Jude's and the Salvation Army. I remember meeting one of the sweetest girls at St. Jude's. And this really shows the power of this organization because when I met her, she was going home, but she was going home to die. And that was a really hard moment, but they made that moment so special for her. And knowing that I was one of her last interactions outside of her close family circle and trying to make the biggest positive impact that I could was something that I will always carry with me every time.
Those are moments that they really mark.
Yes.
Moments that mark your future.
They do.
And I've never heard that story. So that's very compelling to me that you were able to do that. But then it shows you get a year if you win the national title, how much time you're going to have past this year.
Yes.
Which is, I know that's your heartbeat. And I've been opened up to a lot of different organizations because of our time together. Because we have done a lot of road trips together.
Oh my gosh, we've done a lot.
What did we pack? 500 and some bags to take to Columbus.
Yes.
Salvation Army, and you and me and Caitlin and Jeannie marched in there with these 500 bags full of wipes and crayons and different things that they needed. And we hauled all of those down from our home in Pinehurst, North Carolina. And
when I first presented the idea, you were like, seriously? I'm like, we got to go. I'm like, yes, Vickie, we're all going. We're all road tripping in.
And we had the best time, but I was able to spend that time with you really learning about the Salvation Army because I've heard about it my whole life. I know they show up in the middle of a crisis and all the stuff. But when
you see them at Christmas.
Yes, ringing the bell. But when I was able to be there with you and those ladies and Jeannie in Columbus, Georgia, I think I might have said Ohio a while ago, but it was Columbus, Georgia. They explained to me about the relationship the Salvation Army had with the church and all of their different missions and how many children were coming into that one particular location. And I will be forever changed. I have a different perspective of the Salvation Army. Because of that, we were able to do a fundraiser at a restaurant here, and you were able to present our local Salvation Army with $450. So 20% of the proceeds went to Salvation Army. I think we will forever incorporate that into this organization now. And had it not been for our time together, where I'm dragging along behind you, carrying the 500 bags, I don't think that I would have been exposed to all of that. So
my favorite memory from that trip was at the end of it. We all got together and they asked if they could pray over us. And that is so impactful because knowing that they are doing the Lord's work every single day in communities where kids are living in rough circumstances. And they were telling us a lot about their youth program.
Yes.
And so for them to just take a second and be like, you know what, let us pray over you. That was so moving to me.
Yeah,
because
and
you really see
it.
They meant
it.
You see the Lord's work in everything that they do.
Yeah. And we were standing outside that chapel. I thank you for that memory because we all held hands. Yeah. And I remember standing there with all of them around you girls and holding hands. And they did say the most precious prayer right outside that chapel with the cross. And I think at that moment, now that I'm thinking back, I knew that we were in for a really great year. Because number one, our relationship and our family with you, we've always let you know that we're putting the Lord first and that this is in His hands. One of the things I said to you last night as I hugged you and saw you for the first time, that no matter what the end result is going to be in a couple of weeks, we know that it's God's plan for you. Mm-hmm. And how exciting is that?
It's so exciting, but I cannot even tell you how nervous I am.
Yeah.
And it's nervous because you want it. Yeah. But also I express this to you. It's been a really hard season of my life because I graduated from college and I saw all my friends get jobs, and I'm in this boat where I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do because if I win in June, I have to quit a job. And I'm studying for the LSAT. And it truly gave me so much anxiety at the beginning, but I've really had to learn this year to live in blind faith and let go and let God.
That's right.
And I see that a lot in your family and how you operate. And so that has inspired me to really just seriously let go and let God. And now I'm able to focus on my LSAT studying this summer and also, serve as Miss Virginia volunteer full time, which has been one of the biggest blessings after I've graduated with 3 degrees and a ridiculous amount of credit hours. It's nice to have a breath.
My goodness. I mean, to think that you are just entering that program at Liberty in July last year, and now you're almost finished with how many hours?
273 total credit hours, but I think I'm clocking like 136 at Liberty.
You're a beast. I mean, you are a beast, a woman boss for sure. And I really do admire that. I think our love for liberty is shared as well. You've gone to a lot of sporting events with us.
Yes,
and
I'm now a huge hockey fan.
That's right.
I love hockey.
Go Flames. And you didn't really like the mascots at any of these schools. And so I've had to help Haleigh stand behind and beside, the Flames Eagle and get lots of really cute pictures. And then the Hillcats baseball mascot. So she doesn't really like all the fuzzy people. So we have to make sure I'm always behind her saying, you can do this. You can do this. So that's one thing you've accomplished this year is your fear of mascots.
Yes, I have slightly overcome my fear of mascots. It's still a work in progress, but one thing I will never overcome is my fear of cats.
I know. We've got to keep you away from cats.
Yeah. Oh, let's talk about that memory. That's one of my favorites is I had just won. The day after I won, we went to this news interview in Roanoke. And they were doing a segment with an animal shelter, and there was a cat, and the woman asked us to watch her cat, and no one knew that I was petrified of cats. So here I am, like curled up in a chair, crying because I'm so scared that this cat is
you were
coming.
Climbing up the wall a little bit, and we didn't notice you at the beginning because I kept watching the cat, and I knew you guys were getting ready to go on the segment next, and so I'm like monitoring the room, and then all of a sudden we look over, and Haleigh is, completely having a meltdown, and Christopher says, "Are you okay?" She was like, "No, I don't like cats." And I'm like, okay, well, we've got to get this cat out of the room. And that's how we knew that we had to make sure that we never had you around a cat. But you do fine with dogs because I have a family of dogs.
I love dogs.
Traveled with my doggies.
I just don't do cats. It's something weird. I don't know.
But we did overcome the mascot.
Yes, we did overcome the mascot.
So we're good for all the new games you are having to
all
be
the
at.
sporting events. Yes, that has really helped me. But one thing that has been really cool is I got to be a part of a Liberty marketing campaign this year.
Yes.
And, they're an amazing in-kind sponsor to the Miss Virginia Volunteer Organization, gifting $10,000 to the state title holder. And that's very generous. And so for us to have a meeting with the marketing team and seeing how we can further this partnership and then being able to do a marketing campaign with them was such a full circle moment because, I have loved my studies at Liberty. And I tell that to everyone. I'm like, I listen to all of my textbooks via audiobook now. I am fully entrenched and a huge fan of Liberty and everything that they do. If I would have known that going into college, I might have probably ended up here.
Well, you said it was one of the most beautiful campuses you've ever seen.
It definitely outranks Alabama, which I thought was the most beautiful campus until I walked on Liberty's campus. There's something so special here in Lynchburg. You just feel God's presence when you walk out on Liberty's campus.
And you were able to go to convocation, which I hadn't been in a while. So I attended that whenever we took you to meet Demi Tebow, which Tim and Demi are friends of our family, and we followed their ministry and support their ministry. So they were kind enough to let us come backstage with Demi. She signed a book for you. You all shared your pageant journeys together. She is now getting ready to deliver a little girl in a few months. And so we had lunch with her upstairs. It was a wonderful time. Caitlin and I had met Demi one other time, so it was good because we had already had a relationship with her. But one of the things I watched you do in that moment was just absorb that time because it was special to you.
It was so special.
You stayed over a day. Once we realized we were going to get you with her, you had to change your travel plans, and we had you stay over an extra day. And it was really important that you shake her hand and let her know what an influence she had been in your life. But then when you watched her go on stage and you heard all the music and convocation, and you saw close to 6,000 college students in that Coliseum stopping in the middle of their day to come hear her, but also to just thank God for their, number one, being there, and number two, his guidance in their life as they began to study whatever it is. And Liberty has doctoral, we've got masters, that it's all the way up. We're all walks of life in that Coliseum from all over the world. And it was a different feeling. I'm sure you experienced that.
Yeah, it was such a different feeling. I mean, I've grown up in a mega church back at home my whole life. So I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just like going to church. No, it is nothing. I mean, I've never been to Passion or any huge Christian conference. But if I had to guess, it would be something like that. But you just you walk in and you feel the Holy Spirit. And then seeing Demi on stage share her message was a message that I personally really needed to hear, because she talks a lot about how she found so much worth in being Miss Universe. And after that crown was taken off of her head, she struggled. She struggled in finding her identity. And so for every pageant girl, I cannot recommend her book enough.
Oh, it's amazing.
I've read it twice this year because I've really had to grapple with what is my life going to look like after 13 years of straight competing. And it's in her words and in God's words that I'm able to find that peace of knowing that I'm closing a chapter and I'm done with this story and part of my life. Not ever going to be fully out. I definitely see myself
You got to come back and help us.
Yes, I have to come back in some type of board member, director, volunteer capacity in the future. That's my goal, is to give back to organizations that have given me so much. Because, again, I truly don't think I would be the same person if it wasn't for pageantry.
And I think, too, you brought up a very good point, because I've even struggled with this with our 3 title holders before you, that once that crown's taken off their head that night, and they know that once they walk back on stage to take that picture of them placing
Your
out,
has-been.
your has-been, there is a lot of remorse at that time. There's a letdown, like, who am I now? And I think Demi says it so well. You are the child of the Most High God. You are the girl that He seeks after, that he made and He molded to be who you are today. So take pride in that and go forward and know there is another chapter in your life. I know it's always hard for me to close a chapter with the title holders. I always miss them, and I miss the times of getting ready for that competition. Each girl is so different. I told you that in the beginning, but I always want our title holders to know that you always have a place at our table. You can always come back and see us. This is your home. This organization will embrace you. And sometimes it will take our title holders a few years before they realize, wow, there's no place like home.
No, there is no place like the Miss Virginia Volunteer Organization. There is no place like the environment that your family has created, because I remember pageant week so vividly. And just how special you guys went out of your way to make everyone feel. We had glam bots. We all felt like celebrities. We all felt truly iconic, as the theme said. You guys do such an intentional job. And I think that's why we continue to see Virginia's numbers grow in the volunteer system. Because you see the intentionality, you see the opportunities that you are offering girls, you see the scholarship money that you're able to bring in. Because Lord knows I've used all of my scholarship money this year, pursuing all my degrees, but it has been really rewarding to see. And I cannot wait to see where it's going to go in the future.
Well, Haleigh, let's go to Jackson.
Let's go to Jackson, Vickie. Thank you guys so much for joining us on episode 6 of Let's Hear Miss Virginia Volunteer. This is such a special episode for me. I love talking to Miss Vickie, and I hope you take everything that she says, absorb it, and just love it just as much as I do. But thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.